Hi viewers, welcome to Beginners Tech Road.
In this video, I am going to explain about assign a reference type variable to another variable and what happens when reference type variable is passed to method parameters. With sample programs, I will explain. Okay. So we know that a variable of a reference type does not contain its data directly. It contains a reference to its data. So if you assign a reference type variable to another variable, so what happens? As a reference type variable represents the address of the variable, the reference is copied and both variables point to the same memory location. Okay. So example, if you look at the person is the type. Okay. So when we declare a PER1 variable with the person type, what happens? It allocates a memory location for this. Okay. This is the memory location. If you say address is this one, and then when you create a object by using a instantiation like equal to new person. So when we do this, so what happens for this value also, this is the variable of the type person, and here we are creating a object and we are assigning that to this variable. So when we do this, what happens? For this object also, the value, whatever the object, that for that also it will create a separate memory location. Okay, because this is a class, person is a class, this is a class. So in this is a reference type. As it is a reference type, the value will be allocated into a different memory and the stores in that memory, and the variable allocates a separate memory. Okay, in that variable, what happens? The address of the object will be stored. So that is the reason. So when it is a reference type, for value one memory location and for the variable another memory location. Like that, two memory locations will be created for a reference type. Okay, so we know that classes are a reference type, so that in this for PER1, this is the memory location allocated, and for the object, the values, okay, this is the memory location allocated. So both will be having a different memory location. So that this is the address of this memory location. This is the address of this memory location. So here in this memory location, the data will be there. Whatever the object, that object data will be there. In this memory location, okay, this is the memory location. Here it points to, it's nothing but its reference to its data. Okay, so that nothing but this address will be stored in this memory location. So that is the reference types. So now in the second, if we create a one more reference type variable person2 PER2, and then instead of creating a new object, if we assign this variable, then what happens? So for the PER2 variable, it allocates a separate memory. So this is the address, and as this is a reference type, whatever you are assigning here is another reference type variable. So what happens? It's directly nothing but that memory address will be stored. So this address will be stored here. So it is going to copy here the address. Okay. So same address will be there. So it means if you look at the PER2 variable and PER1 variable, both pointing to the same memory location. This is where the data, the object data is stored. So this memory location also pointing to this memory location, and even this memory location also pointing to this memory location. So by looking this, if you understand, so both the variables pointing to same memory location. So this is the when you assign a reference type variable to another variable. Okay, so now if you look at passing reference types by value, okay, same like a value type, how we pass it by value, same way reference type also we can pass by value, and reference types also we can pass by reference. So first we will look at reference types by value. So when you pass a reference type parameter by value, what happens? It is possible to change the data belonging to the referenced object. It's nothing but the values of the class member. Okay. However, you cannot change the value of the reference itself. So this is the difference when you pass reference types by value. Okay. So example, if you look at, so here the PAR1, okay. So when we declare and assign the value, like when you instantiate the object, so what happens? So PAR1 will be having the memory location, and in this memory location the reference to the object will be stored. So it's nothing but this object is the memory location, this memory location, this is the address. So this address will be stored in this memory location because this as a reference type. If it is a value type, then directly value will be stored. But this is a PAR1 is a type of person. The person type is nothing but a reference type, so that the address of the value will be stored in this memory location. So as we assigning a values, person name as a main person, age of person as a 25, what happens? The data of this object, the data will be in a separate memory location. So here the data, whatever the values we assign, that will be stored in this memory location, so that the person name will be having a main person and age of person will be having a 25. So here if you look at again, this is a string, so that this again we know that even for this also will be a separate memory location. Okay, that we know very well, but just I'm not going to go in that each and every level, but just to understand here, I'm not just talking about for this main person, how the memory location will be created and all that thing, that I'm not explaining into that level. I'm just concentrating on this object and object values and how this object is referencing in this memory location. Okay, so this is about the when you create an object for the PAR1 variable. Okay, now this whatever the variable we created and whatever the object we assigned to this, now if you pass this PAR1 variable to another method by value, so what happens? Okay, so example here we can call like this, update person PAR1. This is the variable of this type we are passing as an argument to this method parameter. So if you pass like this, so as I'm not specifying anything, it means the default is a value type, so that this is calling as a value by value, the reference type passing by value. So example, if you say this is the method, a separate method update person, and here we have a variable p person of the person type. So now when you pass this argument to this parameter as a value type, so what happens? Same for this variable, it will create a separate memory location. Okay, so this memory location, PAR1 memory location address is different, and for this p person address will be different, because as we passed by a value, what happens, it creates a, for this parameter also, it creates a separate memory location so that it's created. And as we are passing by value, the value of this address is nothing but, as this is a reference here, value is a address is nothing but reference to another memory location, so that the same value will be copied here. So same, this value will be copied here. So it means if you observe here, both is pointing to same this object. So this PR1 also is pointing to this object as the here address stored in this location. Same way, even this P person also, in this address also, as we copied the same address, is nothing but is same pointing to this. So that way, if you see, the PR1 also now having a person name main person and age of person is 25, and the P person parameter also having the same person name main person and age of person 25. Now inside the method, if we change the values of this class members, so values of the class, as we mentioned, it is possible to change the data belonging to the reference object such as value of a class member. So when we change the values of these members, person name, age of person, what happens, as both are pointing to same memory location, when you change, even this PR1, nothing but this will be overwritten. Currently person name is main person. When you update like this updated person, this will be changed to person name will be changed to updated person, and age of person will be changed to 50. So it will be like that because both are pointing to same. So that way, even though the why this is happening in the value type, when you pass by value, it's not able to change the main method. But here it's able to change the main method, because the difference is, this is the type is a reference type. So the reference type, we know that it stores the address of the actual object, so that here it is happening. Okay, the object members data can be changed, but you cannot change the value of the reference itself. It means this reference here, this reference we cannot change. Okay, this PR1 is referencing to this object as the value is this reference. So this you cannot change. Only the referenced, the members value you can change. But whereas this value you cannot change because you passed by a value. Different way. Instead of this, these two statements, suppose if you have these three statements, what happens? Okay, if you see here, so now what we are saying, P person initially when it is passed, the P person will be having a same address will be this address, and the value will be the same of this value. But here when you create a new object and when you assign that object to this variable, then what happens? Okay, automatically what happens when you do this new person, what happens for this object, it creates a separate memory location. Example, if you take, this is a memory location, separate memory location, and address is that memory location address is this one. This is a different address. So initially when you give a new person, what happens in this separate memory location, the values, default values, it will be there. Person name will be null and age of person will be 0. Just when you create a object. So this we are assigning to this. So what happening in this person, in this address, we had earlier this value, but when we are assigning, what happened? The reference of this new object will be stored here. So that way, what happening now? This reference gone and a new reference stored in this memory location. So that this address is pointing to now this memory location. Earlier, it pointed to this memory location, but as we used a new person as a new object we created and assigned to this variable, so that the memory location reference is changed. So that now this P person is pointing to this memory location instead of this memory location. Whereas here it is pointing to same memory location. But as we created a new object and we assigned, as we passed as a value type, so for that reason, this will be pointing to the new. And when you assign a value, okay, the members, when you assign, now this is pointing to this, so that this member values will be changed. So this will be changed to new person, this will be changed to 40, whereas this will not change. This still will be remain main person and age of person will be 25 in this example. Whereas in this example, it directly changed here. Okay, because we just changing the members of this parameter. Whereas here we are reassigning the object so that the linking, the reference gone and it's pointing to a new memory location. Okay, so this is about the passing a reference type by value. Okay, now we will look at passing reference types by reference. What happens? So if you see, when you pass a reference type parameter by reference, it is possible to change the data belonging to the referenced object, such as the value of a class member, same like a passing by value. Here also, this can be possible, whereas in a value, you cannot change the value of the reference itself. But in this case, you can change the value of the reference itself also. Okay, so that is the difference. So example, if we look at now, same method, if you see, same as we know, to pass by reference, we need to use a ref keyword. So we use it while calling also we used, as well as in the method definition also we used. So now in this scenario, if we update person and age of person 50, so now what happens as a reference type, we know that it's a directly pointing to the address of the argument, okay, not the value. As a by reference we are saying, so it pointing to the address, not to the value. So the pointing the address in the sense, so for this person, the address is this one, okay, 53FC, and this is the value. Okay, as it is a reference type, the value also is the address and pointing to another memory location. But here, as a pass by reference, so that this address, passing by this address is nothing but indirectly it's pointing to the same memory location. So the P person parameter also is pointing to the same address, so that this address we have a value of this address is nothing but referencing to this memory location is referencing to this object memory location. So same will be point, this P person also will be pointing to same address, and that address is already pointing to this memory address is nothing but it's pointing to same. So that way, if you see here, pointing to same address here in a by reference type, when you do reference type by reference, okay, here by value, so that a separate memory location created and this address is copied. But as a reference, what happens? It's directly pointing to the address of the same argument variable. So it is pointing directly to there, so that now what happens if you see in this scenario, same in this scenario, it doesn't make difference, same, it's pointing to same, so that this will get changed, the same will get changed, person name main person will overwrite with the updated person, and age of person will updated with 50. So in this scenario, there is no difference if you see whether if reference type pass by value or reference type pass by reference. If you are using just to change the members of the parameter, then both will give a same result. But the main difference where it comes in this scenario. So here what happens when you create a new object and when you assign the reference gone, whatever the reference it's pointing here, so that is gone and it's pointed to a new memory location. Whereas here, as we are passing by reference, what happens? So this same address. So when you creating a object, what happens? That reference is having to this reference, so that when you create, what happens directly in the same memory location, this address will be overwritten with the new memory address, so that already the same the main method, whatever we have this PR1, this also pointing to the same address, so that now whatever you change it here, so this will become null and 0 as a initially. Then when you update a member as a new person and 40, so this person name will become a new person and this age of person will become a 40. Okay, so this is the address, so that this memory address is pointing to this now, so that this new values will be there. Even here also the PR1, the argument, whatever we passed here, this also pointing to the same address. Okay, initially this also pointing to the, this is the address same 53FC. So that here also same 53FC, the reference is gone. The initially whatever the reference was there, that is gone and a new reference is stored here. So in this case, what happens? Now this reference, this memory location, it is not referring by any variable. Initially, it was referring by PR1 variable, but as we here the reference we reassigned for a same memory location, so that now this is pointing to this, so that now the original memory location is not pointing to any variable. No variable is pointing to this memory location, so that this is a now ideal. Nothing is using, so that there is a memory management mechanism in C#. So whichever the memory is not referring by any variable, there is a garbage collector that will collect and the memory will be released. Okay, so that way the difference between the reference type pass by value, reference type pass by reference. The only difference, if you see the statement here by reference and here by value, the only difference is here you cannot change the value of the reference itself when you pass by value. Here you can change the value of the reference itself. Now I will write few sample programs. I want to create a person class. Okay, so what I will do, first I will go to a solution explorer and then here console application on, right click and then add. Here default it gives a class 1.cs. I will name it as a person.cs and click add. It's created a default class person. So now in this class, I am going to add two members. Okay, so I will just take it as a public and type string and the variable name person name. And one more public int and age of person. So like this, I will just take two members in the class person. Okay, so now I will save this. Now here in a program.cs, now I can use the person type and then the variable per1 equal to new person. So I'm creating the object. Okay, so now I will just assign the values of the members of the person one, that's per1 variable dot. So the members person name, okay, I will assign as a example here the first person. Okay, and then per1 dot age of person equal to 25. So now I will take another variable person2 of the person type. So PRS person PR2. So I'm declaring this, and instead of creating a new object, I am just assigning PR1. Okay, so now I will write the values of the PR1 variable and PR2 variable. Whatever the members we have in this objects, okay, I will just display on the screen the values of that members. So console right. So here PR1 name. PR1 dot person name. And then in the same line, I will use just a tab, one tab space. Okay, so /t and then age. So here PR1 dot age of person. So person one members, I am displaying that values, that member values, whatever it is there, I am displaying on the screen. Same way person two name. So here PR2 dot person name and age, here PR2 dot age of person. So like this, PR1 variable members values and PR2 variable members values we are displaying on the screen. Next, what I will do, PR2 members, I will just change to different values. So PR2 dot person name is equal to, so what I will do, I will just give a different name, example second person. And similar way, the age, PR2 dot age of person equal to, let's say 35. Okay, now once again I will display on the screen same PR1 member values and PR2 member values. So we will see now what happens. So as a reference type we are assigning, so what happens, so as we discussed, we will verify the result, what it shows. So I will execute this. See now, if we look at the result, so the first PR1 name first person and age 25, and the second PR2 name first person age 25. So if you see, the PR1 we have assigned a person name as a first person, age of person as a 25, and same this PR1 we assign to a PR2, so that as we discussed, both will be pointing to the same reference of this object, whatever this object created, same reference. So that is the reason both having the same values, first person 25. So that is the reason on the screen, PR1 name first person 25, PR2 name also first person is 25. Then after that, what we have done, PR2 members values we changed. PR2 person name we changed to second person, and PR2 age of person we changed to 35. So now if we print the both the members values, so now if you look at both again change to new values, second person, PR1 name also showing second person and age 35, PR2 name also showing second person and age 35. So if you observe, even though we changed PR2 member values, automatically the PR1 member values also gets changed, because both are pointing to the same memory location of this object data. So that is the example when you take a reference type variable to another reference type variable. So now same we will see the example passing reference type variable. Okay, so for that, what we will do, the practice, okay, here I will just take a one method. Example, public void display updated person. So here same type person, and then the variable p person, and then the body of the method. So what I will do, I will take a p person variable and dot its members to access. So person name, and here I am changing updated person. The name I am changing as updated person. Similar way, the age, p person dot age of person equal to okay, let's say 50. Okay, so and within this method, even I will just display the member value of this variable. So I will just copy from here. Console.write line. So in the practice, in this method, console.write line. So here, what I will do, updated name. We'll just change this updated name here, p person. So p person, and same thing here also, p person. So like this, in this method, whatever the parameter, as I am not giving anything here, it's nothing but the default is a by value, the reference type passing by value. So the variable p person members, person name and age of person, the values we change, and we are displaying the whatever the values this person members has, that we are displaying within this method. Okay, so now after calling this method, so what I will do, I will write a simple program to call this method from the program CS. So what I will do, I will create a person, a new person, and then here instead of a first name, just for understanding, we are this value we assigned in a main method. So I will just put it as a main name, and then age of person, let it be 25. Now here what I will do, so I will write the person one members values on the screen. Now here I will call the method, whatever the method we have created, I will call. To call that, I will create a object for practice. And then POBJ dot display updated person. And then for this, we have a p person parameter of person type. So for that, I am passing as a PR1 as a argument. So PR1 and then semicolon. So after calling this method, once the execution comes back to main method, now what are the values of that person one PR1 members has, what are the values, we will display once again here, and we will see now how it behaves. Okay, so I will just save all these things, and then now I will execute. See now, if we look at the result, whatever display on the screen, if you look at PR1 name, it's showing a main name and age 25. So whatever we initially assigned the values, main name and age 25. So it is displaying of the PR1 members values. After that, what we have written, we call the display updated person method by passing PR1 as a argument. Screen, if you look at updated name, updated person, age 50. Then once if this method call completed, it comes back to the execution comes back to the main method, and then now in this main method scope, whatever the PR1 members values we are displaying. If you look at, it's displayed same updated person, age of 50. So even though the method is in a different scope, we have in a different scope the method execution. Okay, whatever we have done inside the method, like this, the whatever the members values we changed, that is reflected in a main method, the argument variable member values. Same, this overwritten with that, whatever the values we changed in this method. So that referencing, we discussed one more like by just changing this. Okay, here example, if I put like P person equal to new person. So if I create a new object and if I assign to this parameter, what happens? So now in the same way, now if we put a updated person and now if we execute, so here instead of this updated person, suppose if I put a new person and this if I take as a 40 example, and here new name, if I give this, now if I execute this, okay, so if we look at the result, PR1 name, main name, age 25, it displayed, and then new name, new person, age 40 displayed. After that, PR1 name, again, we got main name, age 25 only. Okay, so this is pointing to the same memory location, but later on, as we created as a new object, so the new memory location is created, that memory location address will be stored here so that it is a independent. Okay, so the way it is displayed here inside this method, this new person and 40. Once the execution comes back to the main, then now the PR1 remains same main name 25. So that is the reason. So main name 25, new person 40, then again main name 25. Okay, so now we will see with the reference. So to pass by reference, so we need to put here ref keyword, as well as even in the practice class here in the method also we need to put ref. Okay, so as a first example I will just comment this and we will see. Understanding, I will just put as a same like a previous how I showed, like a updated person, and I will just give as a 50, and here also the name I will just give as a updated name. Okay, so now we'll execute and see the result. See, now if we see the result, name, main name, age 25 first is showed, and in the here updated name, updated person, age 50 it showed, and even after execution of method, once if it comes back to the main, then still the PR1 members values, it's whatever the values changed in a method, those values reflected even for a main method PR1 variable. So this is, as we discussed, in the, whether it is a pass by reference or by pass by value, in this case both we will get the whatever the value updated in the method, the same will be reflected in the main method PAR1 members values. Now we will see the main difference with the creating a new object. Okay, so for that what I will do here in the practice CS, I will just do a undo so that we can get new person. And then so this way, if you see in the previous example, when we pass by value, what happens, it's the reference is totally created as a new reference when you do this, and so that the actual whatever the argument object reference, okay, it's totally removed and it's created a new reference. Okay, now as we passed by a reference, we will see the result, what happens. So I will execute now. See, if we look at the result, so first it showed the main name, age 25. Then when we call the method, then it showed the new person, age 40. And after execution of the method, and once the controls comes back to the main method, now if you see, even person 1 name and age, it's same new person, age and 40. So now you can observe, it's like the reference is a totally change. For a PR1 reference also, it's changed, so that both now in the method, whatever we changed, there also we got a value new person and age 40, and even in the main method also we got the new person and age 40. So this is the difference, how the behavior when you pass reference type by value and when you pass reference type by reference. Okay.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to our channel for more videos.